Hey guys, Chad with New England Homesteaders here. Unfortunately, our bees didn't make it through the winter. So this was our first year with bees. We got 2 hives. We had them up here at the homestead. We weren't here a lot during the summer, just on the weekends and occasionally during the week to check on them. So maybe I didn't give them enough attention. I don't know if the mites were too much of an issue for them. I did not treat for mites, so learned my lesson. I'm definitely going to monitor that very closely this summer and treat for mites this fall in September. But there's 3 possibilities. Basically, these 2 hives, either they weren't big enough to sustain, the colonies weren't big enough to sustain enough heat, to generate enough heat through the really cold spell that we had, even though I put the insulating material on it. And I just realized that some little critter got in here and tried to get into the hive. So I don't know if it was a raccoon or a skunk or what, but figured I needed to do this today. So either the hives weren't big enough to generate enough heat, or they ran out of food, or the mites got them. So I'm gonna crack open the hives here. I'm gonna move them into the garage. I'm gonna relocate the hives back further in the property this year. I've got 3 nukes on order to pick up probably in May. But let's dig into these and see what happened. So I had this wafer board on top, this moisture board, which was supposed to help wick away all of the moisture. And then inside the top cover here, I had put sugar that was to feed them throughout the winter. It does look like they ate some. You can definitely see the moisture that had wicked up in here, and had sort of turned this into that sugar candy. So there was definitely quite a bit of moisture in there. Wow. So this side is full of honey. It's all capped. So this probably weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. So they definitely did not lose. They definitely did not starve to death. This side is pretty drawn out, but there's no honey in there. But this side is totally full. Wow. This one is totally full. Both sides completely full. This probably weighs 10 pounds untouched. So I basically just made this shield with this styrene insulation and some duct tape, and I've got it so that it can slide right down over there for next year. So I'll cut this piece out and patch that up. So I haven't even gotten down into the bottom yet, but they certainly had enough honey. Both the sort of the hive nucleus at the bottom, the main brood chamber, and the honey super up top are just full of honey. There's probably, I don't know, at least 60, 70, 80 pounds of honey here. We weren't even planning on getting honey, so I guess that's the silver lining, is we'll definitely extract some honey from some of these and then give them to our bees in May as a head start. So I'm guessing maybe that it's just the colony size or the mites that did them in. I'll have to dig a little bit deeper down in the bottom. Let me see if I can lift the bottom off of this one. So lots of dead bees, but I really don't know if it's thousands and thousands of bees. So I think maybe the colony probably was not big enough to generate heat and survive through the winter. So here's the bottom board, and I'm going to clean this up and get one of those white grids so we can really track to see what our mite load is on the bees. So it's a shame. Lesson learned though. Got to pay a little bit more attention. Like if you watched some of my earlier videos when I visited my uncle in Illinois, his bees survive through the winters, and he is pretty much just hands off except to go get some honey. He lets them do their thing. If they split, they split. And he doesn't feed them, and they do pretty fine. Maybe his winters aren't quite as harsh as ours, but... So we'll get these colonies going in May, and we're going to have lots of food between the food plots and the pastures and the big wildflower patches. So certainly not going to have any issue with food this year. It looks like they did fine this year, actually. So not going to have any issue with food. I'm going to monitor the mites closely, and we'll do the mite fogging treatments in September. And hopefully we've got 3 hives making it through the winter of 2018 and 19. So that's about it for today. If any of you guys are beekeepers and you got some tips other than anything I mentioned here, share that in the comments below, and would appreciate any feedback you have. But I think I know my answer. Hives were not big enough to sustain themselves through the winter, and that could have been due to mites as well. So we'll treat for mites, and looking at a much more successful bee season this year. Thanks guys, talk to you soon.